Hey, Wemberg World Entertainment. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, remember that movie with Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci, came out in 1999. It's getting a sequel, however, not on the big screen or the small screen, in a comic book form. Yeah, it's going to be called Return to Sleepy Hollow. Now, apparently this news came out during the summer, but it only seems to be coming out now. Like, the traction for it seems to be picking up now. So it's meant to be set 15 years after the movie, but where does it go? Well, let's dive into this article that talks about it, and let's actually find out what the story is. I enjoy Sleepy Hollow, that movie. I even enjoyed, did you ever watch the Sleepy Hollow series? I believe it was from Fox, where Ichabod ended up in present day. I enjoyed that show. The fourth season was a bit weird. It was much more of a step down from the first few seasons, but I still enjoyed it overall. Even though it actually came from well, it didn't just come from Alex Kurtzman. At the time, it was him and Robert Archie. So that partnership was still there before Kurtzman screwed him over. But it's saying here anyway, the Headless Horseman of Tim Burton's cinematic nightmare rides again. And that is the one thing that should be noted, that this is a continuation of Tim Burton's movie. So Sleepy Hollow, the 1999 classic from the Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands director, is getting a sequel, just not on the big screen. IDW Dark, the horror imprint of IDW Publishing, will release Return to Sleepy Hollow, a new comic series set 15 years after the events of the movie. So, Johnny Depp starred in Sleepy Hollow as Ichabod Crane, a police constable from New York City who travels to the titular town upstate to investigate a series of grim decapitations. He uncovers the Headless Horseman, a malevolent entity taking the form of the headless black ride upon a black horse. Christina Ricci also starred as Katrina Von Tessel, the daughter of a wealthy businessman who's targeted by the horseman, who falls in love with Ichabod as the investigation progresses. With Return to Sleepy Hollow, Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer comic scriber Casey Gilly, it's either Gilly or Gilly, I think it's Gilly, an award winner for her short story A Funeral in Foam, now envisions a tale involving a deeper evil that lurks in the town years later, according to an official description. Ichabod has now built a name for himself as a debunker of occult claims across the world. He receives a frantic letter urging him back to Sleepy Hollow to investigate a string of unexplainable murders. This reunites him with his now estranged love, Katrina. Together, they will uncover the truth of Sleepy Hollow's origins and the roots that connect them all, a description reads. Sometimes an opportunity comes into my inbox and I know deep in my soul that I will become a feral creature if I don't get to write it, Gilly tells EW in a statement. Sleepy Hollow is one of those opportunities, and once I saw Savannah's incredible art, I knew it was meant to be. Savannah Mayer, making their comic debut, is the artist bringing the story of Return to Sleepy Hollow to life on the page. And the artwork is interesting. The facial stuff, it's a different type of take, but everything else looks decent. So it'll be an interesting story. I'm not sure how many comics there are in this series, like if it's one or whether there's multiple. I do believe there are meant to be like a crap ton of variant covers, which it's a weird thing when they do that, because it means you have the one story but you're trying to convince people to buy multiple comics, and it's just a different cover. You know, the exact same story and all that stuff, it's just different cover all the time. So it'd be interesting to see what they could do and how do you flush out this story of Sleepy Hollow, because Sleepy Hollow, of course, their main story is the Headless Horseman. And again, I did enjoy the movie. I do love that movie. And the series was a decent series. The idea of taking Ichabod from the past into the present day and stuff like that, and the connection between the Horseman and all that stuff. Now, in the series, they changed the Horseman. The Horseman in the original was a German, if I remember correctly, who obviously was hunted down and murdered and beheaded and blah, blah, blah by the soldiers, the American soldiers. And in this series, he was a redcoat. So they changed that in that way. He does have an actual thing, what he's called. I can't put my finger on it right now. If it comes to me, I'll say it. But the overall look of the Horseman stuff was always interesting to me. You know, the fact that Sleepy Hollow is a real place as well was always interesting. So the idea of bringing Ichabod Crane back to Sleepy Hollow, but it doesn't seem like the Horseman will be a part of this. I'm not sure whether he is or isn't. You know, there's no indication of that because they're talking about a newer evil. And the fact that they're trying to get to the nook and cranny of the actual area of Sleepy Hollow. So it's kind of like, where does the Horseman fit in with this? Does he fit in with this? Because one of the covers does seem to have the Horseman on it. So whether that's just to kind of say, hey, it's Sleepy Hollow, I don't know. Because none of the art they're showing seems to show the Horseman. Obviously, the tree that was his grave is in there and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see where or not this story goes. And of course, if the story takes off and people really enjoy it, the next question then is, could it lead to an actual sequel to the movie? I don't think it would. I think that would be the idea of the comic, is that, you know, maybe the ideas were pitched as for movies and they were just like, no, we don't want to go down that road. So they made it into the comic. But overall, the story could be very interesting. You'd have to really see what they do with it, how they do it. How do they reintroduce the town of Sleepy Hollow in the form of not having the Headless Horseman run around, you know? And it's interesting as well that they have Ichabod who's out there, you know, debunking all of this stuff as opposed to embracing it. That's an interesting take. So overall, I don't know whether it's actually out yet or whether it's meant to come out later this year. I'm not seeing anything regarding its release. Oh, on sale October 29th. So it should be out now. So yeah, that could be interesting. So if you've seen it, let us know. And are you interested in continuing that story through comic books? Do let me know. What do you think of the original film? And have you seen the series? All good questions. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, hit the hype button, all that good stuff. Cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.